Sam, how you doing? Today we're gonna talk about Dead Space. Dead Space is a survival horror slash third-person shooter video game for the PlayStation 3, and um, it's a pretty decent survival horror game with a nice dark ambience. Plenty of parts of the game that make you jump for sure. Um, and it's something I recommend for people who like both shooting games and horror games. Um, Dead Space, um, the plot, it takes place on a ship that gets overrun by an unknown mutants, which come from are infected humans. Um, it's not really revealed until later how um, the infection started. It was an experiment. And, actually, I don't fully remember, but anyways, the game, the plot is pretty decent. It keeps you interested the whole time. Um, it's kind of got the whole like theme of kind of like creating a new, twisted race out of human beings. Kind of somewhat like New World Order-ish theme to it. With a like survival horror experimental like lab theme, kind of like Resident Evil. Kind of takes kind of a few different genres and puts them together, um, like subgenres, um, and that kind of sums up the plot. The it's a good game. It's got some challenges like you have to conserve ammo in that game. You have to um, conserve your health that you collect throughout the game. There are a lot of upgrades to your weapons and your armor, which is very useful. Um, so that's the main thing for if you want to just beat the game like normally your first time, to upgrade your weapons, and your armor and your health, and you get some interesting utilities in that game. You get stasis for slowing down enemies before you kill them. These the creatures that come at you in that game. Um, and they also, the way you attack the creatures, you're supposed to go after their limbs first, which is different than other survival horror games where it's usually like fighting zombies. You have to usually go for headshots in that game. But in Dead Space, you actually have to shoot the limbs of your assailants that are coming after you. So that's a little bit different than other horror games and first-person games. You don't necessarily you shouldn't go for the headshots first. You're supposed to take the enemy down differently by going after limbs. So you get stasis. You get kinetic kinesis powers for moving objects around, like telekinesis. That's pretty unique um, for a third person shooter. Or those are pretty unique powers that I haven't seen in too many other. I don't think I've seen in any other shooting games that I played so far. Um, the uh, the enemies are kind of difficult in Dead Space because a lot of times you have to go after the limbs first for the creatures that are attacking you, and it's not easy to to uh, to defeat them. And there's some difficult bosses too. They don't make it. It's not really that easy of a game. It's not the hardest game, but it's not it's nothing. It's not a walk in the park for sure. There's different levels, and when I talk about Dead Space 2, I'm going to compare that as well. The music is very fitting for this game. It's very just dark and ominous. The game itself has a great, you know, ambience to it. That's just, really, creepy. The game is very creepy and disturbing. Not for younger kids for sure. I definitely recommend Dead Space. I'd probably give it an A minus, maybe B plus. Um, it's definitely a horror game that probably in modern day, it's probably better than modern day Resident Evil. Um, so it's recommended if you like horror games and sci-fi too. It's got sci-fi to it.